the power of God. Many Christians speak of His mercy, which they should do, of His tremendous love for His people, which they should do, of His grace toward His people, which they should do. But today, Lord willing, I will speak of His power. His power that is seen in so many things. In the universe, in nature, in the lives of His people, in the great redemptive events that He did for His corporate people, Israel, in what we call the Old Testament. Probably few Christians, including myself, actually meditate on the power of God. We're only acquainted with it from the time of our natural birth. And if we read the Bible and speak to others, it goes further back. But even in the Bible, we know nothing about the power of God before He created the heavens and the earth. This is amazing. So we need to get into a little bit of, I suppose you'd call it, philosophy. We say that the power of God is infinite, and so it is. But do we understand what that means? Infinite means that it has no beginning or end. Yes, most people would grasp that point. But it's much more than that. If it's infinite power, it means that when it is exerted, it is not diminished in any way. It's not like a tank full of gas in a car that once you start driving the car, there's less and less gas in the tank. This is not the case with the power of God. It is not affected when He uses it. It is all-powerful before He used it, and all-powerful after He used it. There's no measuring rod or measuring device on His power to see how much of it He has exerted. It is just as much as there was before He exerted any of it. But let's go back to the beginning that we know, and that is Genesis chapter 1, where God created the heavens and the earth. Imagine for a moment what that entailed. The stars, infinite number practically to our practical purposes. The planets, the sun, space itself, which we even to this day do not understand. Modern physicists and astrophysicists think they understand it, but then they betray their understanding of it by speaking about an expanding universe. Expanding in what? What is it that contains this universe that is expanding? They don't know. Then they speak of things like that the universe began in an infinitely small dot. Now think of that concept for a moment, brethren. A dot that was infinitely small. That means nothing to the human mind. When we talk about infinity, we reach our limits because we're finite creatures. And so, this tremendous power of God was shown when He flung the stars out into space and created the heavens and the earth. And then He created all the animals, the oceans, culminating in the creation of man, which was indeed His greatest creation. But we travel far off now. That's a topic for another day. Getting back to the power of God, He showed it in when He flooded the earth because of its sin. God took and rose the oceans through rain and whatever other problems or things He did. to the point where everything was flooded. What power would it take to do that? Then, of course, the most famous event that he ever did in redemptive history for his corporate people, Israel, was when he opened up the Red Sea. Now, some archaeologists have located supposedly the place where he did this, but they don't really know. But suppose it was a case, it wasn't very deep, supposedly, but just think of the tons of water that he blew open with his nostrils. In this case, that was a poetic way of expressing it. But there was a strong wind mentioned in Exodus that the Lord used to blow open the ocean and allow his people to walk across that Red Sea on dry land. There wasn't even mud or humidity or anything else. It was totally dry. This is amazing power. Now, think about it. He fed the people in the wilderness after he had destroyed the mightiest empire known at that time, Egypt. He fed them with something called manna, which in Hebrew means, what is it? They don't know what it was, but God created it with his power. He has the power to control events, both in the far distant future and in the immediate present. There is no limit to the power of God. And brethren, understand this. We can continue to talk about how he feeds the animals. He himself does it. That's tremendous power. How the earth continues to grow and be amazingly vital, again through the power of God. But now we turn to something even greater, something that gives the Christian such solace. Brethren, this power of God, this infinite resource, is directed to our benefit. We are protected by his power, and everything that his power accomplishes in the earth and heavens is for our good. What need we worry about? Is there anything that is more powerful than him? As Paul says, if God is on our side, who is against us? If God is for us, who can be against us? And the answer is no one. He is the Almighty of Almighties. He is the God of gods, the King of the universe. And this King of the universe loves us. Isn't that a blessing? He loves us, and he protects us. When dangers appear, you can be assured that God brought them into our lives. They didn't come there by a stretch of bad luck or bad fortune. He did it for our purpose and for our benefit, and he will resolve it in whatever way pleases him. As for our age, we will live exactly the length of age that he has determined before we were ever born. And so, we stand with the power of God. We depend on the power of God. And our future, we will worship him in his power.